A body is said to be a variable if you move wave of bay which you forth or to inform and about to a point. Another theme of variable is occupation, and a special kind of variable in occupation motion is called the simple line of harmonical motion. SHM, which is the main following of the chapter, we will diseases and important criticism of SHM. SHM systems are oxidating and we are learning of the information different and types of waves, and we decombination and proteins of with the help of Replatech. And in the following selection of V diseases and simple harmonical motion is different system, and motion is mass attached to a spring of a horizontal, and which we use to a specification motion of a bell placed and below of a motion and boot of your attachment and to a string and explanation of SHM. Motion of mass attached to a spring. One of the simplest system of type oscillation and motion in the that we horizontal mass spring system. In the if we use spring in string of the compression throw of a simple displacement of x, and from it means we use positive and we access it. Following positivism of the f, and which we use to a mass and algorithm of hogging hole on your law and you give by when x in the displacement of a mass in which used to a mass form of a mean positive O, and we use to a mass consummating and called of the strings and consists of the defined as the value of k is the means of the steadiness, and which we use spring following, and we use to a mass spring and large value of a k soft and spring have simple value of k. It means that occupation of mass and attached to a spring in view this is pertaining and to its displacement for a mean positive, hence the horizontal motion of a mass which use spring system in example of spring accumulating and system. The negative sign and mean that a force of externally by a spring, and in we always diseases opposition of a displacement that mass because a spring for always attached toward the means of positive it simply system and called a releasing of following. Releasing of following are mass always which we use to a means of pull and object perform and opposition of means together and mean a positive. In telling the mass of we use to arrest and means the positive o, and the releasing of the means which we use to a mean zero. Suppose the mass of pull through a distance of x up the extremely positive that are releasing the responsibility and following extremely by a stripping of the mass we will pull it together. Mean positive or due to a displacement of mass which you passing and moving and throw a back together. The mean of positive O, and the negatively end of the listing of the following disling and which we use to a displacement and from the mean positive that because 0 to O. However, the mass genes speeds as it throw work. The mean positive and speed because mass and view maximum of due to a inter and mass throw are not speed to a mean positive of but contraring and it motion and which we use to a extreme are positive b. कितनी देर की होगी किधर पता है 5 मिनट क्यों नहीं लगी है as a mass moving from a means negative and positive or extreme positive be the releasing and following act which we use to throw a means of a speed which we use to a mass string and which we use to together extreme positive be the mass following constraint of the burnal which we use to rest of extreme positive b. Unlimitedly, the mass returns to a mean positive due to a replacements from the personal of respect of the mass constrains the occupation by a back of a more further and about the means of positive or such motion of a mass attached to a spring. We use to a horizontal precision of a furling and which used to now a speed horizontal mass hm. The time provide 7 of the simple horizontal motion of a mass m attached to a spring to give by the following equation. Type of provide can be collections. Bell and belling system. The motion of bell pressing and bowling and other extreme example of simple horizontal motion when we use to a bell and it as a mean positive or that we use to center of boiling net from the acting and action of uh, the ball of zero and this positive weather of the balls of the act download and equation to be a upward and normal following and of the surface and bolo and heaven the end there of no motion of a now if used to burning and boil and positive uh, and then releasing of it boils of well spread moving and to other the means of positive to zero and due to restricting for evolving and caused by the together add positive of the boil and get maximum speed and due to a inter it moves the together of extremely positive by well got to other of positive be the speed of boil describes to use to due to a replacement of following which we use to add the due to means of positive at the positive b of well of stroke of the well and then again moves together and means positive other and under of the action and which we listing of following that they move for motion and boiling constraint about the means of positive tell and all its energy of use to a due to friction of thoughts of the math and following and fro and motion of bell about a means positive placement and below it an example simple horizontal motion. Heartbeat key. A simple pendulum as also extremely such a message and it consists of a spin and boil and moves a mass m suspended from a light string a legend of extreme exists under and it we use to equation of positive o and net person and boobs of zero and the boobs is stringent of no if you well burning and boobs and extreme positive and all net of force of net zero figure 10.3 and that the net of follow an action along a string as the tensions of the strings cancels and compound of the weather and which we use to hand of their motion along a distance. The component of the weather mg is sing of is discriminatory to other the means of positive act of the relation of which we use to due to a following boobs and straw are moving and through a means of positive or at boobs as to get in maximum velocity of the due to enter and if you wish to dose and speed to which you of other further of the constraints of move together and which we use to meaning a positive b and due to drowning and boiling and moving and motion and due to point by a velocity of uh, boobs and throw and due to a relation of following and which we use to value velocity of boobs become a zero as relation to a point of b. The relationing force of still act and due to together the means of positive o and due to this process of moves again extremely moving and boiling point which we use to a simple motion of and means of positive o it is clean from above and decides that to a speed and boobs of increases well moving from point to at of zero due to the relation of personal which act performs are due to moving and streaming and which we use to a drumming and pointing and pointing and simpling, and when we use move and moves, the O and B is its speed decreases due to relation, and which is following action together to form a relations and describing together, or it follow that the action of verbs are always deuteric and together means of positive, or hence its motion is simple pendulum is SHM. When we have following formula of the time pendulum and simple pendulum from a motion of through those of system, we can define SHM as simple harmonical motion occupation when we net of forming described to properly add to a displacement from a means of positive and always described together of means positive. 11 मिनट की